Well, it's Friday. It's been kind of a crazy week. I think we all know that. So let's review a lot of our narratives. And we're going to start, unfortunately, again with the tariffs, but it is important because you have to think of the markets. Sometimes markets are driven by central banks, sometimes by inflation, deflation, unemployment, employment, sometimes by earnings, sometimes by new technology, sometimes by geopolitical events. And it seems obvious to me, your own opinion is that we're being driven by geopolitical events. So first, yesterday the Trump administration, they say back down, but they decided that they're going to go to April 2nd on tariffs. We'll explain that in a second. But this was, they're not putting on the 25% across the board on China and Mexico because they were going to retaliate right back at us. So stock markets didn't like that, and so neither did the bond market, in the sense that the bond market thinks we're going into a recession, and so the prices are going up and the yields are going down. So what actually happened? What did they back down on, the Trump administration? So again, all three of my prior videos on this USMCA are all pinned, okay? So you can start the first one, and then yesterday I put up, or the day before, whatever it was, I put up the last one. So this is like number 4 on the same subject. So the USCMA, of course, was Trump's deal. He forced it on Mexico and Canada. They signed it. And Trump, I believe, wants to renegotiate it. You can watch my other videos. We won't go through it again. So what happened yesterday was this. The USCMA covers, between each country is different, one 61%, the other 65% of their import-exports between America, the USMCA. That's what it covers. So the rest is not covered by the USCMA, okay? So what Trump did was he said, anything covered by the USCMA is not being hit by this 25%. Anything that isn't covered by the USCMA is getting the 25%. Now, this is important to us because you have to listen carefully to what Sheinbaum and all the Canadians are saying. I mean, every province, and forget Trudeau, he's actually seems like a rational one. The rest of the province, whatever they're called, head of the provinces, they're looking for a fight, okay? And they're saying, until all tariffs are taken down, we're putting up our tariffs as retaliation. And that's now what they're referring to. The percent, let's say 35%, of the goods that are not covered by the USCMA, which Trump has put a 25% tariff on. They said, until they are gone, we're going to put on our tariffs. And this goes to April 2nd, okay, before this happens. And of course, the White House is still saying, oh, they have to make progress on the fentanyl. Remember something, it has nothing to do with fentanyl. We legally do not have the right to supersede the USCMA, okay, period. So thereby, the only way we can put on tariffs if we declare a national emergency. So the national emergency that they declared was fentanyl. That's all. It doesn't matter. But notice here the last paragraph. The executive order also lowers the duty on potash imports from Canada that do not comply with the USMCA at 10%, providing relief to American farmers who import about 80% of the fertilizer from Canada, okay? So think about it. Potash is not covered by the USCMA, thereby would have had a 25% tariff on it. He reduced it to 10%. To be honest with you, I saw a guy talk about potash, and everyone's like, oh, we got potash. We don't in America, all right? And we would have to increase our mining, the guy said, by like 3,000%, and it would take us decades to dig it out of the ground and have all what you have to do to process it and everything. It'll take us decades to get there. And you can't grow our crops without potash. I'm sorry. You think we have a lot of food in this country? It's because of fertilizer. Without fertilizer, we don't have a lot of food. So it's very interesting. So you got to remember something. There's two parts to this. Everything under the USCMA is okay. That's around 61 to 65%, depending on which country. All the rest of the stuff that's traded between the countries now have a 25%, except there's an exception that potash is only 10%. That's where we're at. And the Canadians and the Mexicans have said, we're not tolerating any new tariffs on the rest of the stuff. We don't care what you say. Pull them, because we didn't negotiate, or you're jamming it down our throats. So what happens on April 2nd? You tell me. I have not a clue. Finally, when I started off in my career, I actually was dreaming this the other night. I remember that our deficit was plus or minus when I first started in the business, right? One year we'd be negative, next year we'd be positive, and so forth. And that got me thinking, what is the effect? I mean, we're all working under the general assumption that having a trade deficit is highly negative. In fact, as Trump has said, that every country in the world is ripping us off. But here you go. Here is our trade deficit, and here is our U.S. household net worth in trillions, okay? Now, unfortunately, this only goes to 2017. I tried to find one for, 2025, but we're not here to say where we're at today and all this other stuff. What I'm saying is maybe tariffs are negative, maybe, okay? I mean, not negative. Maybe the trade deficit is negative, but for our wealth, it has made us extremely wealthy. I don't know why. What do you think of this? Certainly let me know. So what about our other narratives, right? Especially on the euro and the yen. I'll just point out that the Chinese market continues on its way up, and I believe we're up around 28% since we said that you could go in and look at the Chinese tech stocks. So whatever, it worked out, and that's good because some people made some money. So as you know, one of my narratives is that I felt the euro was in a bad spot and could actually break up. And as you can see here, once Germany, Merz came in, was elected the new chancellor, and the first thing he did was, we're doing $800 billion, and we're going to do it for infrastructure and defense, and everyone else is, the Europeans are joining in. Not all of them. So van der Leyen said, we're going to start our own European defense organization without the Americans. So I'm pretty much assured that, like I've been saying for the last year and a half, NATO is going to go away. And then again, we point out the euro has 20 nations, the EU has 27, NATO has 32, but they just had a meeting with the, whatever they call it, the willing, okay, which was 11. So how's this going to work out? Italy doesn't want to do anything. Hungary doesn't want to do anything. I still think you're going to see a bifurcation in the European nations on how they're going to align themselves. It's very confusing. I don't know which way it's going to go. Now here's the yen. It's down to 147.29. We were just 157. So when I say down, that's up. Remember that. Up is down, down is up when we're looking at the yen. So it continues to move up. And I'll only point out here, in the middle of the chart there, you see that the dip all the way down there? That's just a little, it's not at the bottom because we got hit around 144.40 with the yen carry trade unwinding. And are we going to face that again? I personally think so, but let's put it this way. We're going to find out very, very soon. And you can see here, the dollar index has rolled over. And you guys just look from January 25, when Trump came in, they, I think, believe that the administration has been working to bring down the dollar and bring down the 10-year yields, which they have successfully done. How that works out in the long term, we're going to find out. So, like and follow. Certainly tell me in the comments what you think, and have a great weekend. Thank you.